is Halimah. I'm a student from Nusa Putra University, majoring in information system. So today we will discuss about democracy in Indonesia. Jadi hari ini kita akan membahas tentang demokrasi di Indonesia. Indonesia adalah negara terbesar keempat di dunia, dengan berbagai perbedaan dari mulai budaya, suku, bahasa, agama, dan lain-lain. So today we will discuss about Indonesian democracy. Since gaining independence in 1945, Indonesia has undergone a dramatic and revolutionary democratic transition. After experiencing political unrest and initially implementing a parliamentary system, the nation switched to Sukarno authoritarian guided democracy in the late 1950. Economic progress was brought about by Suharto. New order rule, while political freedom were repressed. Suharto overthrow in 1998. Jadi demokrasi di Indonesia ada 5 tahapan yaitu so the first is implementation of democracy during the revolution. In 1945 until 1950, Indonesia was still struggling to face the Dutch who wanted to return to Indonesia. At that time, the implementation of democracy had not gone well. This was because by the ongoing physical revolution at the beginning of independence, there was a still centralization of power as seen in Article 4 of the transitional provisions of the 1945 Constitution. The second is implementation of democracy during the old order. There is 2 steps in democracy during old order. The first one is liberal democracy period. So in 1950, the implementation of liberal democracy was in accordance with the constitution in force at that time, namely the 1950 provisional constitution. This condition had even been pioneer since the issuance of the government announcement on October 60, 1945. The second one is guided democracy period. The democratic system where all decision and thought are centered on the country's leader. Jadi, yang pengimplementasian kedua itu ada demokrasi di orde lama, yaitu yang pertama ada liberal demokrasi pada saat yang terjadi pada tahun 1950 sampai 1959. Yang kedua ada guided democracy period, yaitu demokrasi kepemimpinan. Jadi demokrasi kepemimpinan adalah segala sesuatu hanya bisa ditentukan oleh presiden atau leader of the nation. Demokrasi yang ketiga yaitu during the new order, yaitu implementation of democracy during the new order, also called Pancasila democracy. The implementation of new order democracy was marked by the issuance of the March 11, 1966 order. The new order was determined to implement Pancasila and the 1945 Constitution purely and consistently. The beginning of the new order gave new hope to the people for development in all fields through Pelita 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and during the new order era, it successfully held the general election in 1971, 1977, 1982, 1987, 1992, and 1997. Jadi Pengimplementasian ketiga yaitu demokrasi order baru, new order atau orde baru. Jadi demokrasi ini disebut juga demokrasi Pancasila yang terjadi pada tahun 1966 sampai 1998, yaitu ditandai dengan surat Super Semar. Yang pengimplementasian yang keempat yaitu demokrasi in the transitional period yang terjadi pada tahun 1998 sampai 1999. During the period, there was a transfer of power from President Suharto, who resigned to Vice President B.J. Habibie. Jadi pada tahun 1998 sampai 1999 terjadi pergantian presiden dari Presiden Soeharto ke wakil presiden yang saat itu menjabat yaitu B.J. Habibie pada tanggal 21 Mei 1998. Ada juga implementasi demokrasi yang kelima yaitu demokrasi during the Reformation era until now. Democracy developed during the reform era, basically democracy based on Pancasila and the 1945 Constitution, with improvement to its implementation and improvement to democratic regulation by increasing the role of high and supreme state institution, by enhancing function authorities and responsibility that refer to the principle of separation of power and clear relationship. Okay, next slide is government system in Indonesia. So the government system in Indonesia is presidential system. The 1945 Constitution, which clearly delineates the division of powers among legislative, executive, and judicial department. For the first one is executive branch, include president, vice president, and cabinet. Number 2 is legislative branch. Legislative branch include is MPR, Majelis Perwakilan Rakyat, dan juga DPR, Dewan Perwakilan Rakyat. The third one is judicial branch. The judicial branch is independent and responsible for upholding the rule of law. So the first one is Supreme Court atau Mahkamah Agung, Constitutional Court atau Mahkamah Konstitusi, Judicial Commission atau Komisi Yudisial. Elections are held with an emphasis on representation, inclusive and open. Regular elections that generally considered free and fair have been held in Indonesia since the fall of the authoritarian New Order administration in 1998. Jadi bentuk pemilihan di Indonesia yaitu pemilihan umum yang dilaksanakan, misal ada kita akan memilih presiden kita itu menggunakan hak suara rakyat, bukan dipilih suatu instansi ataupun suatu badan di negara. Okay, the next slide is political participant in Indonesia. Political participant in Indonesia has grown significantly since the fall of the authoritarian New Order regime in 1998. Jadi warga di Indonesia diikutsertakan dalam voting in election, pemilihan umum, engagement in political parties, civil society organization, protest and demonstration, public consultation and feedback, social media activism. Jadi di Indonesia warga tidak hanya menerima hasilnya saja, warga juga bisa berpartisipasi dalam kegiatan untuk memutuskan keputusan yang akan dihasilkan oleh pemerintah, yaitu biasanya yang membuat regulasinya yaitu DPR dan MPR, sedangkan bahan pertimbangannya yaitu dari usul warga negara. Yang ke next slide is human right and civil liberty. Freedom of expression in the reform era truly guarantee the right to freedom for the Indonesian people, which began in 1998. Human rights to be respected, fulfilled, and fully protected can be seen from freedom of expression because it is the nature of every human being since birth to get their right and from state. Hanya saja di Indonesia, human right and civil liberty belum terlalu mencapai kesuksesan yang signifikan karena masih lemah dalam penerapan hukum. The next slide is challenge of implementing democracy in Indonesia. Yang pertama ada corruption. According to the data box, Indonesia is one of the list of country with the most corruption in Asia. Jadi menurut data box, Indonesia masuk ke dalam list 5 terbesar negara dengan korupsi terbanyak se-ASEAN. Apalagi di akhir-akhir ini banyak sekali kasus korupsi yang terungkap seperti Pertamina, PT Timah yang hampir meraup dana negara sampai triliun, bahkan kuadriliun. Yang kedua, the money of politic problem. During election, vote buying, patronage, and irregular campaign finance are prevalent, which tilts the democratic process in favor of affluent elites. The impact is approach discouraged since political engagement diminishes the quality of representation and restrict fair competition. Yang ketiga ada weak rule of law issue. Yang ketiga adalah hukum yang lemah. The judiciary is frequently seen as dishonest, ineffective, and vulnerable to political meddling. Nah, itu tadi di Indonesia penerapan hukum masih lemah dan juga hakim-hakim masih mudah untuk disuap. Yang keempat yaitu issue of inequality and marginalization. Women, rural community, and ethnic minority are among the marginalized group whose access to political participation is restricted by economic inequality and social inequality. Jadi di Indonesia masih banyak kasus rasisme dan juga patriarki yang terjadi karena di Indonesia masih belum bisa membedakan apa yang seharusnya bisa menjadi poin fokus kita gitu. Jadi masih ada orang yang meremehkan perempuan, meremehkan suku tertentu dan lain-lain. Nah, mungkin itu saja videonya. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.